Hi there, this is Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits, and today I just wanted to demonstrate how I decided to carry my working yarns up the side of my Thru Lines shawl. So this edge is the edge where you don't have to carry anything up, but on this side you can see little peaks of my contrast colors that I carried up. I find that it's really not very noticeable when I wear the shawl, and especially after blocking. You can see here how I tucked it into my I-cord. I kind of held it tidy with my yarn as I worked my I-cord. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do that. I found it really preferable to having to weave in ends on all of these multicolored stripes throughout the shawl. So personal preference, but I don't think it's super noticeable. And if you want to make it a little easier on yourself too, then I thought you might enjoy seeing how I did it. So I've just worked up the little baby first portion of the shawl, and I'm going to work a few rows to show you how I carried my yarns up. All right, so I am up to, I've just worked my first color portion, and now I'm going to be getting back into my color A, or my main color here. And so basically what I do, and if you have a method you like, feel free to use that. I find the most important thing is just being consistent. Do the same thing every time throughout that project. Sorry, just trying to get my yarns organized here. All right, so what I find important is I'm about to do my 3 stitches of my I-cord. So you can see my yarn is coming from over here, and I'm just going to carry it up. And I just want to make sure that the yarns I'm not using are over here to the right side of my work. So I'm just going to go ahead and knit my 3 stitches. And I'm just going to work across this row per the instructions. I'm not even going to worry about this little, I'm not even actually going to follow the instructions. I'm not going to worry about little increase and stuff, since I just kind of want to show you what I do with the edge. So now I need to work back the other way. Okay, so we are almost back to the edge where we have to carry up the sides. So we're going to go to the 3 stitches. That's my I-cord. So I just slip those holding my yarn in front. And then I go ahead and turn my work. All right. So here is what I want to make sure I do the same way every time. So as you could see when I showed you my sample there, you could see these little kind of main color bars tucking my contrast colors kind of into the I-cord. And ensure that that happens, I just always make sure that my 2 contrasting colors are going to be carried up by my main color. So I just bring them up and kind of over so that this is going to go like this. Can you see that? So for that very first row, I kept them to the right to keep them out of the way, but now I need to start carrying them up with me. So that's why I wanted to show you more than one row. So these need to be carried up with me, and I'm gonna catch them with my working yarn like that. So I can kind of get those out of the way now. And again, just making sure I'm catching them with my main color. And you'll see how you want to organize your yarn balls. I find that usually just kind of moving this guy around works great. So these ones are going over the top. I'm going to grab my working yarn, and now I'm going to knit those 3. Let's get this a little closer for you. All right, so let's work across the front, and then I'll go across the back once more, and I'll show you one more row. And I'm just going to keep carrying it up in that same way. Work up against the back side, or the wrong side, whatever you want to call it, back to our edge. Alrighty. So now I am back to the last 3 stitches, and I'm going to slip 3 with yarn in front. And I have my yarns that, again, so do you see how the previous one has that little bar going across to catch them? I want to do that again. So I'm just going to take my contrast colors here, and I'm just going to flip them back over to that side so that when I go to use this yarn, it's grabbing those yarns and tucking them in with that little bar for me. So I'm gonna knit this, and then I'll show you that, how it looks. And I will say, trust the process. It looks better the farther you get away from the section you just did. When I went back and looked at earlier stripes where I had caught my floats, it looks better as the shawl grows. It all kind of tidies up, and the tension does kind of works its magic. That I-cord curls in on itself the way it's meant to, so it all kind of works together to hide it more. So do kind of trust the process. It might not look great like right in the area where you just did it, but it will look better. Try not to split your stitches. All right. So I want to show you this edge, and then I also just want to show you, okay, well, what happens when you need to use your contrast colors? I want to show you what I did there too. And again, I welcome you to find your own way that feels good for you, but I just thought it would be helpful to show mine. So I'm going to slip my 3 with yarn in front and turn my work. But first, let's look. So there you go. You can see how I have those 2 main color bars, which is wrapping my I-cord. So you can see that as this grows, that is going to curl in because it's the I-cord and kind of help hide it even more. All right, so let's say that now I need to use my color B, which would be, for me, that is my white yarn. You'll have to, for me, I'm literally using my odds and ends here. So they're these like little guys that want to twist around each other. So I'm just gonna do quick organize. There we go, so that they're where I want them. All right, so I need to use my white. So again, what I want is for my other colors, I want my black and this guy, just like we did with the first time that I was carrying them up, I want them to be over here to the right. So I'm gonna go ahead. So here they are, they're going like this. And then I'm gonna knit 3 for my I-cord. And you would not knit solid throughout the row, but I'm going to right now because it's just faster so that I can continue showing you how to carry up the other colors too. Now let's work back to the other edge. Okay. So now I need to use my blue yarn, which is my color C. Slip 3 with yarn in front. Okay. So now I need to use this guy who is trying to unravel on me and make a big old mess. So let's tighten it up a little. All right, so here's my blue, got my black there, my white here. So again, with this color, I'm gonna bring my white over the top, and that kind of helps this carry my white up. But my black yarn's already over to the side, so I am actually I'm gonna leave that where it is. We're gonna do that with the white. I'm gonna show you how to carry them up a little differently. All right, so again, just like we did with the white, they're both to the right side, and I'm gonna go ahead and work my blue row. Again, this is not the pattern. You don't work a solid row in blue, but for speed's sake, that's just what we're gonna do. Okay, pull back down to my other edge. Slip through with yarn in front. Alrighty, so now I need to use my white again. So this is where I did something a little bit different. And this was just playing around, and this is just what worked for me. So I'm gonna be using my white again. So to carry up my blue, I'm just bringing my blue to the right and it's gonna get carried up. But my black yarn's all the way down here. And just keeping it over here to the right isn't gonna have it caught by my white. So I actually went in opposite directions for this one. So I go to the right with my blue, or my color C, and then I go to the left over the white with my color A, my black yarn. So do you see, by doing these in opposite directions, they both are gonna get caught by the white. The black gets caught first down here. Sorry, the black's a little hard to see, but it gets caught down there, and then the blue gets caught above. Boop. And so I did that on every second B row of these little stripey guys that we do. And that just worked well for me. That was another reason why I wanted to do this video, because I just played around as I knit the shawl and would peek and just be like, okay, what is working best to hide those floats so I don't have to weave in so many ends? And then this is just what I found. So, promise this is one of my longer tutorials. I promise that it's almost over. I just want to show you how we get back to using A now. So, oopsie, I almost knit across this row. Not that it would matter at this point, because I am way off pattern. All right, going back to the beginning of the row. It's my last three. Turn my work. Okay, so now we are going to go back to using the blue. And I always just kind of spread out my yarns and get them so that they're not winding around each other. So I need to go back to using my black here. So again, just like I showed you down here, I'm going to have these guys just over to the right, because for that first row, this catches them. So easy peasy, knit across. Slip my last three. If you're new to I-cords, this is how we make an I-cord edge. We slip the last three with yarn in front, and then we turn and we knit them. And by knitting them in kind of the wrong order, it forces that edge to curl in on itself, creating an I-cord. All right, so the last three, and now I'll show you this last one, which should look really familiar. So now we're back to what we did in that first section. We're to keep catching these. We can't just leave them to the right because they'll just be stuck down there. So now we cross them over the top of our working yarn. Grab my needle out. There we go. So you can see, here's my blue and white going over the top of my black yarn here. And so when I go to knit it, I'm not even going to finish this whole row. I'm just going to show you after I'm a few stitches in that there we go. See how it got caught by that little black bar. And I'm going to keep doing it just like I did down here where I caught it for those few rows before going to my next little stripey section. So, whew, there you go. There was my messy, long-winded. This is how I figured out to do things. See if it works and is helpful for you. But again, you just kind of always want to catch it in the same way so that it is forcing that yarn up the edge instead of just letting it hang out down here until you need it. Because if you just let it hang out and then you pull it up, then it's a little more obvious. These black bars that I have here, my A color, just help disrupt it so our eye doesn't necessarily want to go to a big long float because I disrupted it by using my A yarn there to catch it. You could just carry it up, but it's also then you're gonna have a higher chance of snagging it. Where like these little guys, I can't even get my little finger under there. I'm not gonna accidentally snag it. So anyways, I hope that's helpful. I know this is a little different from my usual tutorials, but hopefully you gleaned something from it, and happy knitting.